The sky was dark and overcast. The rain began to fall. I whipped the children one by one and raised a mighty squall. I bid the children on the earth to scram out of my way. The deuce a bit of comfort here upon my washing day. Lord, to scrub, thump, thump, scold, away! The devil a bit of comfort here upon my washing day. Now, I am Kate, a bonny wife. There's none so free from evil. But when it comes to washing day, why, then I am the devil. My husband knows to go away. Yes, friend, do not come near. The devil a bit of comfort while I'm washing laundry here. For it's scrub, thump, scold, away! The devil a bit of comfort here upon my washing day.
I can understand your fatigue, Kate. We farmers work 12 hours a day. Why, it's only because of the incorporation ceremony that I've taken a day off at all. Of course, I don't mind working hard now that we've got such fine land up by the north branch of the river. You know, we used to work as farmhands down in the Chicago area. That's how we earned the money to buy our farms. And there's something mighty satisfying about working your own land. Chicago. Oh, it was just a wee little town in those days. Why, I even met Mark Bubine at the Saginaw Hotel. Just a fancy name for a big log cabin, like the one that Tolliff Bell built here. Yeah, in those days, they were just after starting to dig the canal between Lake Michigan and the Mississippi River. You couldn't get there by train, and you couldn't go by boats neither. Oh, but a fine day's work that was. And that canal has been nothing but a success. We had some times in Chicago. Did I ever tell you about the time I was in the field haying with the lads, and all of a sudden, we smelled smoke. It was James Casey, my sister's future husband, that ran up to the hilltop and looked out over the prairie. And what did he see? What a great prairie fire, rolling like a biblical storm it was, towards the city of Chicago. And what did we do? Well, what do you think we did? We called for help, and we wetted down our shirts, and we took our shovels in hand, and we started to dig a ditch on the Chicago side. And you know what happened? It worked. The fire rolled right up to that ditch, and it died out. And lucky for Chicago it did. Can you imagine the troubles they'd had if it hadn't? Ah, Chicago. What a miserable, stinking shambles of a place that is. But I met my wife Kate there, and my sisters found their husbands thereabouts. That was back in 1848, before we came to the Lanesboro area.
So you were here in '63 when hundreds of people left everything and ran to the Mississippi from imaginary attacking Indians? Run, the Indians are coming!
I didn't fall for that one, but I know some foolish farmers who did. Now, you're a fellow who would understand the heartache of having to leave your home behind. We didn't want to leave Ireland. No, but we had to come. We would have died else. I'll never forget the hunger of the 40s. Oh, there was little and less food to be had, till finally there was nothing at all. We didn't own the farms, you see, so we couldn't keep the crops. The English owned them. And there were no factory jobs to earn money to get food. No, and so many people were sick. They were fatigued and hungry and weak from it, until finally the typhus and the cholera took them, while the bodies were lying along the roads and in the empty houses. Oh, and the little ones, with their swollen bellies, they'd cry and cry till they were too weak to cry. Looking back, they tell us 1 million people died. We would have died too. It was our parents that saved us. They took the last of their savings and they bought us passage to America. They couldn't travel themselves, poor dears, they were too weak. In fact, we bought passage on a fishing vessel because that was all we could afford. Oh, but you should have seen it the day we left. Hundreds of vessels of different types, all leaving overflowing with passengers. And how that tug we were on ever made it across the Atlantic, I'll never know. But thank the good Lord it did. Ah, it's a shame, Mary, and you know it is. England wouldn't help us, even though Ireland was and is her colony.
Absolutely. My family fled Ireland as well. We came from the town of Limerick. Some days we children would go down to the docks to watch the ships and forget our hunger. We always wondered what was in them kegs until one day, one of the wagons bumped into another one and a bunch of kegs and barrels fell off and broke open on the ground, and what fell out? But rounds of cheese and bundles of wrapped butter. We all ran to try to grab some cheese to bring home to our family, but they ended up kicking us and throwing it all back on the wagon, quick as can be. Turns out, the English were shipping food from their Irish farms and sending it back to England. No one knows this, but they were stealing our food from our land and from our children and selling it in London. I think they just wanted us to leave or die. Now, nobody knew any of this, and still they don't talk about it. They all say we just had some kind of potato disease. It's all over now, but for us, life is better here, but they're still suffering back home in Ireland. So, would you join me in playing a lament in honor of all the poor folks still suffering at the hand of the British back home?
You know, my Santee, Dakota, and Winnebago relatives, they suffered the same type of starvation, but that was only 8 years ago. When the Santee, Dakota were sent down to Lower Sioux Reservation, their food supplies were cut off. We knew that this Clark Thompson was head of Indian supplies in Washington, D.C. He held back our food supplies on purpose. Just like your English. He wanted us to die or leave our land so that they could have it.
Your Mr. Clark Thompson made sure that Dakota were so angry they mounted Dakota uprising. That was a reason to banish them to Crow Creek, South Dakota. There was nothing out there, and hardly any provisions at all. Nearly 2,000 people starved and died of disease there. Our Hotongre, Winnebago, was sent there 1 year later. John, the year you left Ireland, 1848, our people were rounded up in 150 wagons in Iowa, sent to Long Prairie, Minnesota, where we were very hungry. A few years later, we were taken from Long Prairie to the Blue Earth Reservation. But the people of Mankato wanted us gone. So of course, we were banished to Crow Creek. What a horrid place to live.
We were told that Baptiste Lavalure went down and said this to the white men. Maybe even to Mr. Thompson himself. We are sick. This land, this country is unhealthy. Every day, our children and our old people are dying. Father, never before have we seen so many get sick and die. We are afraid if we stay here too long, we too will get sick and die.
My older brother the noble Coming Thunder Winneshek died there, leading our people down to Missouri to a better spot in Nebraska. He saved many lives. Do you know the town of Crow Creek is named after this Clark, Fort Thompson? It's proof how much he wanted us gone from Minnesota. He's a dangerous man. Be careful. We mustn't be seen by him.
True. Okay, Okanaga, you also have saved many lives. Please, please, tell all these people here how you saved many of us from going to Crow Creek Reservation.
Ah, one night Decorah and I heard rumors we'd all be sent to Crow Creek. We began to plan an escape. In the middle of the night, we took all of our relations, snuck out over the prairie until we found shelter up in Big Woods near Faribault. Bishop Whipple lives there, so we could rest. Still, traveling that night, we followed the Canyon River down to Mississippi. We made 2 boats, shuttled everybody across to the Black River of Wisconsin, our home. We've been secretly farming, hunting these past few years. Antoine says the whites will no longer banish us, may even pay us in land with our own treaty money.
Yes, they've asked me to go ahead and verify these Winnebago homesteads.
Although I wonder if they'll keep their word about this act.
It's time to put these sad thoughts out of our minds. Life is better now, though there are a few of us left. We must survive, build a new hope for our people, for our children. We must rekindle the clan fire that is almost out. We must find a way to make our people happy again. We will plant the corn, the squash, the tobacco. Give the feast of Thanksgiving to the Creator. We must still talk with their brothers and sisters, the four-legged, the winged ones, the trees. Use the healing herbs. May the angels of light and love be by your side to make you happy, but most important, to give hope to those you meet each day. Hope. Hope.
Okay. More Indians around here. You know anything about that? No. What are you gonna do about them, Clark? I'm thinking of doing like all the others and just gonna push them out west.
All right.
I think so.
Good.
Everyone, my brother and I were just on our way to a traveling medicine show that's starting. Would you like to come along?
Come on. You too, man. Good, baby.